Hello everyone, welcome to our State of the Game live stream for Ashes of Creation. I'm Margaret Crone, your community marketing lead here at Intrepid Studios. I feel like I've been here forever, and I've only been here for like a month and a half.
It's been years.
2 years.
It's been years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Years
no,
in game
2
time.
months, maybe dog years.
True.
And of course with me is...
Stephen Sharif, creative director.
And also the CEO. He does
right.
a lot of things.
Forgot about that. Jeffrey Bard, I am the lead game designer.
And today we're going to be going over a lot of things. We have, obviously, Stephen put out a creative director's letter. We're going to go over that briefly and talk about those things, but we definitely encourage you to go read it yourself because it is quite a read. And then, of course, we're going to...
Got some links to it.
Steven's got a lot of things to say. And then we also have an FAQ. We kind of grabbed some of the major questions that you guys had. Stephen, I know you spent a lot of time last night chatting with people.
I did, yes. I love doing that, by the way.
I don't know how he does it. He's so charismatic. I'm like, I'm nervous just being here.
Well,
I'm like sweating.
I mean, that's the great part of, being on the other side of the fence. When my whole life previously I was a player, I didn't get to see what's going on behind the scenes. And then now coming at it from a different direction, being able to interact with people who have the same mindset I had with other projects and kind of discussing with them in a way that I never got to experience with games that I followed. So.
I actually share that feel with you very much, and I'm sure Jeff does too. I mean, I came from, being a player, and then I grew into the positions that I have gotten through the industry over the past 13 years. So for me, it's the same thing. Like, I want to be able to do a lot of amazing things for you guys as well.
Yeah, we all remember what it was like to be a player. I mean, we're all still players, so it's we want to make sure that we treat you guys right, and
Yeah, so we'll be going over that. We'll be answering some of the FAQ questions. They're not easy ones, but we'll get to them. And then we also have a special video that we want to share with you all, so stay tuned for that. And then we'll do an open Q&A for you all on Twitch. If you're watching us live, you can ask questions, and our lovely community manager. I don't know if you want to run over here, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, come say
you
hi.
Come say hi.
Okay. I'm behind the handle right now.
Don't look behind the curtain.
Okay.
Yay!
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sarah, also known as Toast.
Yeah, that's true. We
You
always
should
call
have
her
a piece
Sarah,
of toast.
but
Where's-
oh, you need to just like carry it.
Oh.
We could do that.
We need
thing.
to get you like a toast plushie or something.
No, you know how they like have the thing where you can like have the toast in front of your face. But yeah, so Sarah has joined us. I know in our last live stream, which was about a month ago, we had discussed that we were going to be adding a new person to our team, and Sarah's the person that is joining us, and I'm so thankful for her being here because now I can focus on a lot of the other things that I want to do that are the big things on the content roadmap and things of that sort. While she
Which is
focuses
exciting, by the way.
Yeah.
Content
So-
roadmap.
Let's just get into it. We'll get to the content roadmap probably at the end of the letter here. So the first things first is we talk a little bit about our studio and the updates regarding that. So you want to run people through that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the letter? Going through the letter? Or?
Well, just specifically the studio.
Oh, the studio.
updates.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are still growing, and we have a lot of growth still to do. We brought on 15 people over the past just couple of months, really.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of onboarding too. So keep that in
Yes.
mind. It takes a while to train people up and get
Absolutely.
them knowledgeable about the things that you want them to do. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process to bring additional people on board. You have to catch them up to speed, but it's a good investment because in the long run, then they become productive and able to contribute. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good learning curve when it comes to Ashes of Creation, so it takes a little bit to get everybody up to speed.
My favorite thing is doing those orientations.
orientations?
Yeah.
Stephen does like an orientation, and
it's
we
like
had
8
like
hours.
10 people in there. Well, yeah, I think it was scheduled for 30 minutes, and it ended up being an hour and a half. Just
I don't know
because people
who
have so many
scheduled it for 30 minutes because there's no way that would have been possible.
30 minutes of just saying hi.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really great is that when I was in that orientation, I knew most of that.
Mm-hmm.
It felt good. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I
did your
really
homework.
downloaded a lot of
Yeah.
information in my brain.
Absolutely.
My
Yes.
hard drive is full.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that is one of the main things too, is getting those heads. Now we aren't exactly where we wanted to be.
Right,
as far
that
as
is
hires
true.
go.
Obviously we had some goals with regards to hiring, and we didn't hit those goals for 2018, but we are doubling down on our efforts to recruit. We've brought on some headhunters for specific key positions. that are going to assist us in getting the necessary talent to add to our already amazing talented team.
Yeah, we're a very picky studio, so it's not for lack of effort. It's just in terms of who we want to bring in the door. We have a very specific culture, and sometimes it takes a little while to find the people that you're looking for.
And also, one of the key points that we adhere to when bringing aboard, personnel is really, their experience from an MMORPG perspective. And their love of MMORPGs, their passions for MMORPGs.
It's going to hit the table again. I'm sorry if you're hearing that.
No, it's on the mat. Look, it's on the mat.
It's got 3 mats.
They cannot hear it. They cannot hear this.
Oh, can I hit the ground?
By the
Yes.
way, oh no. The community was like, just let them talk with their hands. I was like, it's fine to talk with their hands.
I've been like trying to just clamp it down.
Yes.
Keep it still.
So regardless, bottom line is, we're growing. We are focused on growing further because Ashes of Creation is a very large project, and we're going to need a lot of people.
Yep.
Yes. I'm very excited. As someone who is an MMO player, I am so excited for the product that we are creating because this is what I want. I think all of us have wanted that. So I guess that's all I got to say about that. Do you want to talk a little bit about our studio move? I think a lot of people thought we would be at our new studio. As you can see, we're not.
Can they?
Can they?
I actually guess you can't because we're on
we're
a
in the
green.
same field.
But here's the
so
thing:
maybe.
I'm gonna update the stream room, so we actually have like a pimp stream
That
room.
is
I'm
true.
just saying. So
HR. No, I'm just
not like that kind. I meant like
I know.
my
I'm
ride
just
style,
kidding.
not that kind.
No, absolutely. We actually. we
All right, let's go.
It's too early. We haven't had our coffee yet.
Yes, we actually began construction on the new site that we'll be moving to. We did previously have actually 2 other locations in the past that we had planned on moving to. Things kind of did not go the way we expected with those locations, and we had to readjust. But we have found the new location, and we will be moving soon, which will be great.
Our new
because
home.
We need lots of more seats.
Yes.
We do need so many more seats.
We need more-
We're shoving people in the corners here.
Yes, right now it's like a sardine can.
We have like a couch area, and everyone's like, we could get rid of the couch area.
Oh, we're getting rid of that
Yeah,
couch
no, I
area.
know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's what.
So sad.
Like,
I love
this
that
couch.
couch.
We need a couple more stations in the meantime.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were asking, and I don't know if you feel comfortable about talking about why we weren't able to get those offices. I think that was like a follow-up question that people were asking. Obviously,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Kind of
So
private to
no,
most
no,
people,
it's
so
totally
no.
fine.
Okay.
One of the locations that we had entered into discussions and we're finalizing the contracts for, actually the company that owned that
this
spot
one.
sold their portfolio in the middle of our discussions, and the new owners decided that that was not going to be the course of action they wanted to take for that particular building.
Yeah, they wanted to release the whole building and not just a section
Right.
of it, and we don't need a whole building. That'd be a lot.
Oh no, that was the second one.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was the second one?
The
Okay.
first one was
Oh,
like a year
gosh.
ago.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
a
geez.
while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. The
Yeah,
second,
I don't know about that
the
one. I wasn't
second
here.
location, we had actually I decided that I wanted to build our building, right?
Yeah.
And not lease it. So I found a sublease for us to enter into in the interim between
Mm-hmm.
building that place, and it was a middle floor of this laboratory kind of place, 20,000 square feet. It was a beautiful area,
Really nice.
really nice, looked great. We went in there. We were literally 2 days away from signing the sublease for that for 3 years while we built and found a location we wanted to have long term. And their medical testing actually did not go so well. I'm not going to say the name of the company. And they decided
Okay,
they
that's
needed
fine.
to lease the entire building instead, not just the middle floor, which was like 60,000 square feet, of which we did not have the need for room.
yeah.
Of
Yeah.
No,
that
that's
size.
it was
That
it was
was
a
too
little-
much.
Yes.
That
So
would
that
be
was
a
kind of
stupid
that's kind of
choice.
like the background. I know it's a little probably too
Dry, but-
yeah, exactly. But that's kind of where we
It's
were.
inside baseball.
People asked, so here's your answer. So now you've got it.
Oh, that was one of the questions.
Not
got
one
it.
of the frequently asked questions. It was just a question that a couple people had asked, so I was just throwing it
I
out
see.
there as a follow-up. Beyond that, we talk a little bit about the state of the game and the MMORPG, as well as how Apocalypse assists the MMORPG. And then, of course, where our website, forums, and customer service and e-commerce has been over the past, I don't know how long, before me. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then we can go to the future, because that's what people really care about.
Sure, absolutely. So, as you guys know, leading into December, we had begun to implement our new website, which moved away from WordPress, which really was not a scalable solution for the amount of traffic we were expecting and do expect moving forward. So we had to release our own custom cloud-hosted website. Unfortunately, some of the systems that we had designed with regards to the back end of that website did not stand up against the test of traffic that we saw in December.
Yep.
We had, as we've said before, we had over 2 million visitors to the website just in the third week of December. And we had to go back and readjust. So we brought on some additional team members starting in January. It took some time. I keep looking at the mic. It took some time to catch the new web team up to speed on some of the tasks that they were working on. But I'm happy to announce that we are making very good progress on that. And we did actually just do another migration, I think a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Which solved a lot of the issues. Good props to Craig and Aaron on the team for getting
Thanks,
that
guys.
done.
I think we actually everything came back sooner than we had proposed. I think we were estimating a 6-hour downtime, and it was way less than that. So.
In the director's letter, you'll notice that there's a there's a timeline, not a timeline, excuse me. There is a schedule, a roadmap on the things we're trying to complete further with the website, forums, CS. Moving forward, and those things should be shaping up pretty quickly.
And on Toast and I's side, we're trying our best to help people with tickets as well, to get those over to our CSRs. So you can always message us. We've been really great about trying to talk to people as much as possible. So hopefully, if you have an issue, you can come to us and we can resolve it.
Yes. Yeah, part of that whole kind of re-architecting of the website is also getting CS tools and stuff like that up online, so that we can respond to people quicker. We've not been great about that, but we're getting better.
Yeah, and I think once we get our CS lead in-house and everything's good to go, I think that one of the main things that they're going to be doing is coming up with the proper policies and utilizing those tools in the ways that we want to, and making sure that we have the tools that we need. We've already gotten a bunch of tools that have been super helpful to resolving a lot of those issues. So as we get more, we'll be able to do things less manually and a lot faster. Yeah. Right now, everything's very manual process. And keep in mind that we are a small studio. I think people think that we're huge.
we are definitely bigger than we were, right, by a lot. Yeah. But we're still not quite at full capacity yet, and there's still, we're still a startup, and we're still filling a lot of those positions and kind of building out the team. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is, people wearing different hats and trying to solve what we can with what we've got.
Which is exciting.
It is. It's super. It's a lot of fun, right?
I think that drives us into the future, and I think that's what people really care about. Yeah. So I don't know where you want to start off with in the future, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
The future.
The future.
Ooh, the future. Yeah, absolutely. Moving forward, some of the key points for us from a development standpoint with regards especially to the MMORPG is that we were able to take things that we have learned from December and January and February that relate to the back-end systems that are necessary in order to facilitate an Alpha 1 experience for our community. And we have been able to rebuild, focus on the architecture that's needed in order to facilitate the large servers we intend to have for the MMORPG and Alpha 1 specifically, and make sure that that experience is up to par with what players expect, what we expect, and what we demand really of our product, our game.
Can you go into, because I think a lot of what I heard a lot of questions about regarding that is, what does that mean exactly? What did we learn, and what was the infrastructure issues and things of that sort that we are now moving
forward? Of it had to do with the population that we want to attain within a single zone or a single area in the MMORPG.
Yeah, we want to be able to have massive battles in a small space.
And as we've said, our minimum bar expectation is around 500 players on a single battlefield. Now, if we can go higher than that, which we believe we will be able to go higher than that, that'd be great. But we want to facilitate that type of battlefield dynamic with that many players. And that means that there's a lot of technology that goes into replicating each player to another player, to making sure that the server is able to handle the load of information that's coming in from, whether or not there's going to be hit scan or projectile-based mechanics that are present on the server that need to be processed, all of the skills that go into those things. Having a high population within a single area is something that we're trying to achieve, and a lot of the back end is going to facilitate that.
Yeah, it requires a lot of efficiency in how that communication works, right, between every client, between the server, and when you have 200 people in an area, right, and you have all of those people trying to communicate to one server, that's a lot of data and it's a lot of information.
Right.
So a lot of what our engineering team is doing is sort of making sure that those are following paths that are the most efficient, and that people who don't need to know about certain things don't get told that.
Right.
So it's really about finding efficiencies and really optimizing what the back end is doing.
Right.
We need to get an engineer here to like talk more specifically about what
Just
that
go
means.
grab somebody,
Right?
be like, "You're on stream now." Talk.
But
I like to think I have a fairly good understanding.
yeah, no, I mean it's I think you need to, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it's that's what we came out with that at,
Right.
and we've made a lot of progress on that.
100%.
Front, but there's still a lot more to go to get to that point.
Right, and the key point with regards to progress is
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say,
you know
can we
what,
talk about that?
Yeah, right. Is what that what we went into December expecting from an architecture standpoint, getting the data back from testing that you guys provided us through APOC was fundamental in understanding the changes that needed to be made in order to move forward with Alpha 1.
Can you talk a little bit about the specific data that you were looking for and
Absolutely.
the type of data that
Basically,
we utilized and how that helped us?
Absolutely. So basically, when we look at data, we look at how the server performs in handling the number of processes and requests that are coming from players in the game. And there's a server frame rate that we look at basically and have a benchmark for that we want to make sure the server is capable of processing at a certain level of performance that is needed in order to facilitate accurate accounting of damage being done or projectiles being used or whatever.
And to make it not feel laggy too,
Exactly.
right? So that's a really important part
So
of it as well.
So basically addressing that, we implemented what we call a replication graph, which allows us to kind of segment the population in a single area to specific zones. So where the server is not having to replicate all actions of a single player that might be 150, 300 meters away from another player. It's not relevant.
Right.
Or behind a mountain or behind a wall or something along those lines. So those are the types of systems that we've been implementing as a result of testing that we saw in December, moving forward in order to facilitate what we need for Alpha 1.
It's a lot.
Hopefully that works. I mean, there's a lot more, right?
Well, we did have a great test with that, though.
We did. We
right?
had a fantastic. We moved from being able to kind of sort of do 100 players at the same time to really being able to do 200.
Yes, and we can do above that, I believe, right? And moving forward,
we could probably push it to about 250, probably.
Right now. But the key moving forward is that when we take the data we receive from the 200-player test, we're able to refine on those systems, those mechanics that we've implemented, the new code that's been input into that rep graph, for example, and actually push the limits even higher.
Right, and there's a lot of data to sift through too, right? So that's also part of the process is going through and like finding the pain points that we can solve, right? And that's also it's a lot of work to just go through that data and figure out what we can do.
Right.
So and again, it's also a big important part of it is having these live players, right? We can automate all we want, but we will never ever get the kind of data that live players provide. So that's another important part of this whole process is having that live data.
Yes, absolutely. And the great thing is, part of with what APOC offered us was also the ability to test our data gathering mechanics, having the design logs implemented into test sessions that we can actually pull information on, like, what weapons are used the most and how do players die and whatnot, that will be useful in Alpha 1 because we want to test the systems and designs behind what our MMORPG is. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that our design logs are very robust and capable of collecting that information.
Yeah, that's a whole nother section, right, of the sorts of things that we're doing sort of here in the background.
But I think that helps them because I think a lot of the times when we just say, we're gathering data, the community is like, what kind of data? And obviously we could be here all day listing out the data, but I think giving some examples is very helpful.
On the design side, right? I can tell you, we see every single shot every single player makes. We know every ability activation. We know whether those shots landed or missed. We know how much damage they did. And we can take all of that information and create these really cool kind of heat maps over, what weapons are used the most, what weapons are the most accurate, and kind of align those with our core principles and see okay, is this weapon acting how we want it to?
Right.
Are these things spawning where we want them to? So there's all these great feedback loops that we get, and we kind of refine our design systems off of that. And so it's great.
Right.
I've never worked on a project where we have this kind of data before.
On the community end of that, I think from Sarah, Toast, and we are trying to make reports, and we're doing a lot of reporting on the other side of things, which is all of the feedback that you guys have. So we're sifting through the Discord, we're going through Reddit, we're going through all of our social platforms, and constantly making reports and providing those to the team as well.
And a little bit about, to expand more on what Jeff just said, obviously, when we pushed APOC out, it was in order to collect specific information from a design standpoint on action combat and how we could interface that into a tab-targeted system for a hybrid. Part of the design data that you're collecting, both on projectile use and hit scan use, is accuracies when players use those things, so that we're able to kind of determine when we include either one of those action systems into a hybrid combat system, which one are we going to heavily favor based on the accuracies that we saw in gameplay from the action combat in Apocalypse.
You know, how hard is action combat actually, right?
Yes.
Like we don't want to just kind of put our finger up in the wind and just kind of guess, right? Because that's not going to result in a good gameplay experience. Now we have actual real data. We know how actual players play, and we can use that going forward when we start reintegrating the tab targeting system. So
Yeah. Steven keeps hitting the table.
I'm also a gesticulator, so
And I think that on that front, I think a lot of people have asked a lot of questions regarding the action combat in Apocalypse and how that is helping the MMO. And I think you guys really just explained a little bit more of that and why that is so important for you guys. Gathering that data and figuring out because you're going to have both, but you're really going to have to side with one more than the other, right?
No, I mean, there's the goal is that if you want to go even Steven, 50% hybrid, 50%, hi Steven, 50% action, right? We want that to sort of be a viable
odd
gameplay.
Steven?
No,
Yes,
Steven.
odd Steven's
Yeah,
here with
no,
us.
it's not so much necessarily one or the other, right? It's about how we're able to blend those two tempos together, because tab target and action have very different speeds.
And I think that's what the community wants to see is like, how are those two things going to work together? Because that is such a different concept than other products.
And just so the community understands, the way that we approach design is we take this data, right? And then each of the designers kind of comes up with their idea of how best to implement basically a hybrid system. And then we take a shotgun approach in kind of creating different prototypes and testing those prototypes in a rudimentary form, and then choosing which feels best applicable to the feel we want and move forward with one or two or three of those things. And then we take it to a testing period, perhaps with the community through Alpha 1 and testing out different designs and ideas behind a hybrid system.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I think the big thing that people have come out of the letter with is the MMO and the dates regarding those. So I don't know if you want to talk on that regard.
Yeah, so I think the important thing with regards to dates moving forward is, as we discovered in December and January, there always occurs in development some times where you have to take a look at what you've done and re-architect or basically go back and re-strategize.
And I think they were talking about all of that just prior to this, so I think this is a good lead-in.
Right. So basically that's what we've done. And, we did announce that originally Q2 was our expected delivery for Alpha 1, and that was a pretty far out projection that we made. And the further, obviously, you go out in projections, the more opportunity there is for some realignment. And we had to realign. So Q2 is no longer going to be the proposed date for Alpha 1 delivery. The delay will not be in a number of years. It'll be in a number of months. However, we are not going to, we give this commitment going forward to the community that when we give you a date, we are going to be confident 100% that we can hit that date, which means that those core systems will need to be complete and stood up in a QA format or setting to where we're confident that that date's going to be deliverable.
Yeah. So that's the best we can do on that front, is kind of letting you guys know that like our core value here is making a quality product, and we want to make sure that we are all happy with what we are releasing, so that when you guys get it, you are happy as well.
And also, it's we don't want to have to disappoint people again, right? Like, we know that this is not a thing that everybody's super stoked about, right? Pushing dates is never fun.
I feel like the community has been really understanding. Whenever I was talking to them prior to this, I think a lot of people were hoping that we would take our time.
Yeah. But we also want to make sure that when we do give you a new date, right, that it's something that we can fulfill and that we won't have to move it again, right? We don't want to do this again. This is
I think the important thing is that the bottom line is this. We are here to create a unbelievable experience from an MMORPG perspective, something that's going to answer the call of the community who share the desires we have as passionate MMORPG players. which means we're not going to have a pay-to-win structure in a game. We're not going to undermine the economy of the game by introducing elements that throw into chaos what players work for over months of time. We're going to emphasize risk versus reward. We're going to have a AAA quality MMORPG that encompasses a wide berth of desires and gameplay mechanics that players in the MMORPG genre want. And that, yes, it takes time, but we're doing it in a timely fashion, honestly. I mean, even with a delay, it is important to note that, comparatively, we have progressed a great deal further and faster than a lot of other projects that I personally, as a gamer, have followed. So, taking that into consideration and looking at the whole picture, know that this project is in the beloved hands of, passionate MMORPG experienced and veteran developers who want to play this game.
Yeah, we care about this a lot. This is our lives. Like
Yes.
this is something that we are all very, very invested in.
I'm invested.
And we want to see it succeed.
Yes, absolutely. And exceed.
And exceed. Yes.
That was
Exceed and
nice.
succeed.
And then, of course, moving forward, we also have our website and our forums. We talked a bit about CS. We're going to be hiring new staff for CS. And then, of course, our e-commerce changes. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit first, the e-commerce changes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so, part of discussing with the community a little bit about, we had moved to a new payment processor when we switched over to the new website, which was Xsolla. We did hear the feedback from the community, and we've decided to move away from Xsolla. It will take a little bit of time in order to implement the old payment processing, which was PayPal and Stripe, but we did hear feedback from the community, and it was a resounding request to move away from that payment processor, so we've decided to do that.
And on the website and forums front, I can speak on behalf of that. On the website side, we are doing a whole bunch of back-end things. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is actually what you're going to see on the front end, which is what you guys are going to see more of than anything, is we're going to be redesigning the websites. We're going to be making things a little bit better. I know there's been requests from the community too in regards to even just like your inventory on there, things like that. So we are putting those forward towards our web team. Obviously, those things are going to take time. They're not all things that are going to magically happen right away. And then, of course, on the website side, we're putting a lot of blogs up there and things of that sort. So we're going to try to clean that space up because it definitely needs a little bit of love. So those are things that I have been working on with the web team, and we've already changed quite a bit. It's just, it might not be as player facing for you guys right now, but moving forward it will be. And then on the forums front, I can't give you an exact date, but I will say that on Toast and I's front, we are already starting to get things prepped and started on our end, so that when we do launch with the forums, that you'll know. My goal is to give you a week's lead time, so you know that it's coming and it's happening, and the date and time, and you will know. We'll have an FAQ up that answers a lot of the frequently asked questions, and if there are more questions that come up throughout that week, we will continually add to that so that you always have your answers on an official platform that you can go look at before the forums come back up. But I think it should be pretty simple. I mean, you make an account, you log in, it's pretty easy. But I know there's a lot of questions regarding like your old post and things of that sort, and we'll answer those in that FAQ. Content roadmap. There's a lot. So I think that this is kind of like the main thing that you all have been asking for is, when can we see more stuff? I think that one of the things that I am working heavily on with our producers, who have been working really closely with all of our leads and all of our developers, is coming up with a plan that kind of works along with their pipeline, so that I'm not like taking someone's time from their work that they're currently working on, because I don't want to stop them and you don't want me to stop them from doing what they're doing, but we also want content, right? So we're adding some of these things into their pipeline. So when someone finishes a thing, they send me an asset, or whenever they're doing something, they're recording it so that we can utilize that in video footage. So it's not taking away from their time, but it's still giving me the things that I need in order to make stuff for you guys. This month, specifically in March, we're going to be focusing on nodes. I'm excited to share a lot of things.
I think we are too.
Design is really excited. They have given me this large document with lots of awesome information, and I will be piecing that out into quite a few articles for you guys to eat up, and then also some art assets to go along with those.
Do you want to talk about the video you have planned for this month?
Yeah, so I also have a dev diary series that we're going to be working on. This will give you an insight into the development of our products, as well as let you get to know some of the developers that are on our team and how awesome they are Milnar. They're people too, you know.
Great.
We're not robots. Well, maybe I am. No, I'm just kidding. The first one is going to be actually our nodes video, and it's going to be showcasing a lot of the behind the scenes core tech that goes into the node system.
Wait, is this going to be nodes?
No, not that one.
Oh.
Not
But
that nodes video.
I do have something planned for that. You'll be seeing that soon.
Okay.
March being nodes might allude to some other things, but Dev Diaries is a series. It's not only going to cover nodes. We're going to cover all kinds of systems and art. We're going to show the modeling process, the animation process, the concept art process, all of those things, world building, level design. We've already gotten a lot of footage of that stuff. So I'm going to start compiling and making those videos along with Tristan, who is kicking butt. He's working on those. So we'll be releasing those through, we're going to try to release a video every month for you guys in regards to that, on top of the other videos that we might have as well.
Yeah, basically that this means with both Maggie and Sarah, we are going to have lots more content for you. I know that's been a problem in the past.
I'm pulling at their teeth. I'm like, give me documents.
In terms of, we are all doing a lot of work on the game, and we've not had that extra hand to be able to spend time on this stuff and do this stuff right.
I think Steven has tried.
We've all tried, right?
We all tried for sure. And just to be clear, the lull of content that you guys have not seen since December is a result of really the amount of focus then that the developers had to spend from kind of, actually it was it was October, November, December, January, and February until I brought on board Margaret and Sarah to really focus on those things, right? Yeah. Because, unfortunately, I do wear a lot of hats.
1,200 or something like that.
And when we were in the thick of the development, my focus and the team's focus was really on developing. Yeah. And it takes, preparation and marketing to take an asset and prepare it to be shown, right? Take it out of editor or take video in editor or what the individuals are working on and prepare it in a presentable format that's a content delivery roadmap, right? Yeah. And we didn't have that before Margaret and Sarah. It was just when I had the time really to kind of focus on it. And I'm really glad that they're on board now. And keep talking to that mic.
I know, and I again want to give a shout out to Sarah, aka Toast, who's in chat right now. She's answering your guys' questions and whatnot, and feeding me some that I'll be asking later. She's been in the depths of it all, trying to make sure that she answers all your guys' questions and stuff on the Discord. So if you're not on our Discord, come hang out over there. We have a very active community, and when the forums are up, obviously we'll be over there as well. Regarding further in that, we will be doing live streams, obviously, once a month. We want to make them a little bit more obvious of when they're happening, because everyone always just asks when they're happening. Now you'll know. Aiming forward, I think we changed it a little bit, and I updated the article as well. We are going to be moving it to Fridays. We're going to do them at 11 a.m. like we did today, Pacific time. We may adjust that depending on community feedback and what we see when we look at viewership and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. It's not set in stone, but I think that moving forward, we want you to be able to know, okay, the last Friday is when I'll be having the live stream. I think that answers that, and we'll upload it on YouTube afterwards. And of course, if you miss anything from the month, we'll be doing a monthly newsletter that will encompass all of the things, so all of the articles, all of that stuff that you guys didn't miss. And then fan art. We've seen so many amazing pieces of fan art, and we actually have a couple submissions already, so you'll be seeing something next week. We're going to be starting to do this every Friday, is Fan Art Friday. So if you have anything for us, you can email them at us, community@intrepidstudios.com. Make sure you read Steven's letter, because it goes over what the requirements are. But if you missed that, we'll obviously send you an email.
And somebody in Twitch I saw said, can we get community involved in contests besides art? Yes, there will be more contests moving forward, for sure.
One of the things that Toast is working on is a proposal for some contests. So that is a thing that we will be doing for sure. And community events and stuff like that will happen more once we have in-game stuff that we can do. But she has already sent me a couple ideas, and I think they're going to be fantastic. Some of them do require a little bit of dev time, so we're going to have to work with development to make sure that we can do some of those things. But I think a lot of us have been part of communities before.
Yeah, we all know what it's like. It's always a lot of fun.
Having a GM or somebody pull you into a secret area and being able to have some fun, and going out and being in the world and spawning stuff and doing some cool stuff like that. We all want to do that stuff. I think it's fun, and obviously the infrastructure on that other end is making sure the server doesn't crash when we do bring all those people together. So I think that actually helps us on our community front
It
too.
should.
So
More people will be able to participate, and that's what we want from this game. So.
I think that covers all of those things. The only other thing was events and PAX East and GDC, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
And then we'll move into the questions and stuff.
Absolutely. So, we had originally previously decided to go to PAX East. However, with recent developments since November, I figured it was best for the team really to stay focused on the development of the game and moving forward with preparations for Alpha 1. So, going to PAX is always a big process for the team because it's basically 2 weeks of development downtime since we don't have a marketing team to manage our booth kind of situation. And really, we take live developers there.
Yeah.
So that can be,
As you know, probably.
a week at the event and then a week of downtime afterwards.
And plus demoing, we always have to get a demo together,
Right.
and that takes time. And
Absolutely. So, we're not going to be attending PAX East this March. However, we will be attending events in the future, and we will give you ample notice in advance for those events moving forward.
Yeah, we'll have an article. We'll give you details about it. We'll break down anything that we're doing. So if we're doing a live stream and what times and dates and what kind of content is going to be encompassed in there. We'll also provide you with details on any meetups that we do or what giveaways we'll be doing at events and things of that sort. So for sure, we'll cover as much as we possibly can on those as early as we can. We probably do an announce and then as we get closer, give you more information on all of the details. But you will know. And then beyond that, we are going to GDC. I think a couple of us are going to be.
A few of us are, yeah.
Are going to be handling business development stuff. So one of the things that I really am excited about is doing giveaway stuff and getting I would love to see a full set of Ashes of Creation, like a headset, keyboard, mouse.
Oh, yeah,
And that
that'd
would
be
not be
nice.
cool. I think that'd be cool. So stuff like that. And then I think we'll just get into the FAQ. I think the first question
Do the
is.
video first, or?
Oh well, I think we're gonna do the FAQ, then the video, and then the
FAQ
live
in the video.
questions.
Got it. Okay.
Do you want to do the video first?
Yeah, let's do the video first.
Okay,
And
we
then
can do the video
just to
first.
give you a little bit of context behind the video you're about to see, it's a very short video, but it does give you a look into some of the Castle Siege development, particularly kind of looking at some gameplay perspective. Now, we do use a recording tool when in game in order to take kind of a video that shows you, the players running around and the destruction of the walls, and you're going to see the relic area of the castle, and that's kind of the key objective for the attackers
I
there.
had so much fun. I'm not gonna lie, I was having a real good time, and Sarah was very jealous because she was working on something else, and she's like, "I'm so jealous." I'm like, "I know, but you need to finish the thing."
And for those of you who don't know, context-wise, with regards to APOC, the next stage of development for APOC mirrors what Castle Sieges will be in the MMORPG pretty closely. There's going to be some additional things in the MMORPG, obviously, that are relevant to it. But this gives you an early look at kind of the dynamic that exists between attackers and defenders.
I
the
wish we
destruction
were
of walls.
recording Steven because he was like, "Charge! Move forward into the breach!"
That is true.
He was
I do have
leading us.
I have a megaphone when we do these events, and I'm shouting orders, as people are playing. I'm just like, all right, attackers, siege the wall, and it's fun.
It was really funny. So
it took my previous experience in sieges from playing as a player in MMOs, and it's put it.
It's
in,
like you're running a guild.
it's running. Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna toss it to the video. We'll see you guys right after it. So I think from the chat, you guys enjoyed that. I really had fun recording that. Like I said, like I was having so much fun. And when Steven was yelling, I just was like, I was dying laughing because I was like, this feels like I'm like in a war right now. He's like, all right, everybody, attackers, attack.
And just to give you a little idea, what you guys are looking at there, you obviously saw some emissive, armors and weapons.
Not armors, weapons.
Right, just weapons.
I wish we had the armors.
We do have the emissive armors, but they weren't in the video.
They weren't
right?
in the video.
Okay.
Like, we didn't have it in that.
So, it was nighttime in that particular siege. So
it was raining.
It was
the rain
raining.
is so pretty.
And that is 100%, gameplay using our recording tool that kind of follows you can go in. I don't know if you've ever played Fortnite, you've probably seen the same recording tool in Unreal Engine where you can take an old match of yours and basically take the camera angle anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And
do some cool cinematic
stuff.
I think this is an older video that we played before, so if you missed it, the one that is behind us is that.
Right.
Yeah, it's up on our YouTube.
Oh,
and
we
of
have
course,
one behind us.
The other one is a video that we've had. I think you put the wrong video in, but that one's up on our YouTube, and we'll be uploading this one up on our YouTube too, so you can go relive the experience over and over and again.
Right. So just to give you guys that idea, a little look inside some of the combat that's taking place with some testing in the castle sieges.
Yeah. Do you wanna
Progress
do you wanna
continues
talk about that
apace.
Yes.
A little bit more on the design side.
What part do you want me to talk about?
I'm sure people will have questions, so we'll pull some of those. So get your questions in chat. Toast will get them our way, but we'll come back to the FAQ stuff if you guys are ready to answer those. So these are like the questions that we saw asked the most, and then I'll get to the questions that are live in chat. So the first one is, with the delay for Alpha 1, what does this mean for the phases beyond Alpha 1? Are they delayed? And so I think a lot of people in chat, and I think Toast had said, a lot of people were asking, is the MMO coming before 2020?
Well, it is very likely that this will push us beyond 2020. That's just the case. This is somewhat of a linear production when it comes to the MMORPG. So we're not expecting now to release the MMO before 2020. There is going to be some, opportunity for us to catch up speed later on, and we're going to take advantage of that as much as possible. And we will keep you regularly updated as new dates are expected.
Right.
With that same now principle moving forward, that when we give you a date, that will be the date.
Yes. And also, once you get Alpha 1 in your hands, I think it'll be a lot more easy for you guys to kind of see where the project is and kind of how much more we have to go. Right. So that'll be a little bit more hands-on, and you'll get more direct information that way.
And I think a lot of people have dates from all of these different events and things that were stated in the past. This is kind of our moment to be like, we're wiping that field. Going forward, we will tell you the dates. Those will be on our official blog channel or news posts and stuff like that, so you'll know when those are happening. We'll probably make a big deal out of those dates because they're going to be exciting for us, and we're going to have a lot of things coming up leading up to those things to make them very big and bold. And I mean, at least that's my goal is on the marketing side. That there's a lot of demand on other people to make me things.
Working on it. Working on it.
So I think that answers that question.
And to be clear, I mean, just so you guys understand, our goal has always been, we will be releasing a game that is up to the standards of expectations that both you and we have. And along that development path, there are opportunities for things to happen that will need us to readjust. And that is acceptable to us because the end of the day, we are looking towards fulfilling the promises and expectations that we have made for Ashes of Creation, because that's what the end goal is really.
And also keep in mind, we're working on really bleeding edge stuff here. So, some of the things we're not just taking off the shelf, right? We are inventing them as we go.
I mean, our world is going to be a living, breathing, persistent world. I mean, imagine every time you log in, it's going to be a different place. Yeah. And everyone's experience when they first log in, it's going to be different. It's going to be very exciting. And I think the node system within itself is so in-depth and
I would say one other thing, as a player, and all of you as players as well, we have been there at the launch of a game that we were excited for, that we knew when we first logged in was rushed. It was released at a time that it shouldn't have been, and it needed additional work. And we are not going to be one of those games. So the focus here is that we are going to make sure this is something that you can be proud of and we're proud of when it's released.
Yeah, and I think I've said this before on live stream, but an MMO generally only gets to launch once,
Right?
And that really determines that launch usually determines the health of the game going forward
and the life of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to move on to the next FAQ question. I think they've answered your guys' question in regards to that. When are we going to start seeing more actual in-game content versus concept art? And I want to start off that a little bit with, obviously we're going to share concept art because that's something that, like, as those things come in, I want to be able to share those with you. They're cool.
It's the first thing off the table.
It's the first thing that I get. So I definitely want to share those things with you. And then as I got models, I'm going to share the models with you, and so on and so forth. And in some cases, I'll keep all of them and then I'll share them all as one piece to make it like a really tasty piece that has like a lot of information, tell a story. Exactly. So I think it just depends on the content and what the piece is, whether I will share it as just a concept art or as a fully fleshed progression. But in regards to that, yeah, we want to show off in-game stuff. We want to show off both.
And
we
we will be.
Everything.
We will be. Yeah, moving forward. Yeah. Right. That's part of the content roadmap is to, provide looks at animations, at finished models, at, the in-game, in-editor look at, the development of node system and the tech behind that. I mean, that's part of already your schedule with the dev diaries and, moving forward.
If Steven doesn't leak it all.
Right. To be fair, I only leaked the concept art.
No, you leaked a video. You leaked a GIF.
What video?
We're going to hash this out live.
You leaked a GIF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you leaked a GIF.
See, you guys get me in trouble. You see this? I get in trouble now.
He even says, if Margaret's watching, she's going to be so mad at me. And I was watching.
I can't believe you saw that.
Of course. I look at everything, man. But yeah, of course we want to share things. And even if Steven leaks it, we will share it in an official manner down the line as well when it makes sense for the content that we're trying to share. Because I know he likes doing that stuff. He's going to do. I can't stop him, man.
I don't think you can.
So I think that answers that question. I don't know what more I can say other than yes, you will get that. What's the actual status on Siege and Horde mode? And I think we just showed you some of the development of Siege. So I don't know if you guys want to talk further about that and then going into Horde.
So obviously, as we experience some fundamental needs to fix certain features of what Apocalypse originally debuted through the Battle Royale, that pushed the timeline back for Siege and Horde mode as well. Work is still being done on preparing those things for our future delivery of them, but basically those have taken a backseat to kind of fixing some of the fundamental issues.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that art stops. It doesn't mean that design necessarily stops. It really just means that as we focus on the back-end tech behind making those modes available, they're kind of all corely integrated into that tech.
And just to give you a little bit of inside baseball, I guess, it's sometimes design needs certain things from engineering in order to continue to move forward, right? And so, if we've got all of engineering working on that back end, right, the resources that we have to kind of keep pushing forward get taken away. And so we work on other things. That's part of the whole process, right? Things need to be prioritized and then we get them back.
All right. And then, do you guys want to talk about Horde more? I think it kind of falls in line with that.
Yeah, I mean, that falls under the same thing.
Obviously, Castle Siege is first.
The goal is to get Castle Siege done, and then we'll get Horde mode done. And again, these systems are all sort of interrelated, right? So the Siege mode builds on the BR, the Horde mode builds on the Castle Siege, so like all this stuff is kind of relatively linear. Sorry, I missed my pad.
I'm just like... It's like a little like animals.
I'm gonna bring one of the streams just for Margaret. I'm gonna bring one of those like clapping tambourine and just put it on the table.
Just let it go.
And I'm just like, Margaret, I'm sorry. This is how it's gonna be.
I can't stop it.
It's nothing I can do.
What I did move? There were those band hammer things that were on the table.
I saw them. I was hoping
Where are my band hammers?
I moved them away
I need those.
for the temptation. We have them in meetings. It's kind of funny. So moving forward, you guys are asking what's the status of the forums. I think I answered that already previously, but I'll just answer it again, is that we are working on it. I don't have a solid date for you yet, but we will let you know a week in advance whenever it goes live. We'll have an FAQ that goes into all the details and questions, and if you have further questions that we feel are, oh yeah, that should have been added to the FAQ, we'll add it to the FAQ as well. So you'll have a one-stop shop to answer all those questions, but it's pretty simple. It's a forum. You log in, you create your account, you go in. So I think that... we'll cover all the things. Going forward, What did you not? Here's the question. This is worded from the community. Why did you not provide any concrete or specific dates in the letter? I think we talked about.
I think we talked a little bit about it previously, but the reason is going forward, we're going to readjust how we give you dates, and the way that we give you dates is once we have those things actually ready and in QA, that's when we feel confident to give you a date that we know we will hit, and that is really so that you can trust that when we say a date, that's the date. Moving forward. Also, just from I think from an expectation standpoint. It's important to note that I've heard this from the community, and I share this sentiment. What we want is quality. What we want is the ability for our systems and mechanics that we've discussed in this project to actually occur, to be the game that we all signed up for, both from the development team as well as from the player base. And if that takes additional time, then you have expressed and we have heard, and we share this feeling that so be it. It will take that additional time. So our focus right now is not necessarily driven by hitting a date, as it is by hitting the quality of expectation that you come to expect from what we know is going to be the next biggest MMORPG, Ashes of Creation.
Cool.
I felt like I was like...
Yeah, I feel like you're going into guild leader mode again.
I'm sorry.
No, it was good. It was good. I felt inspired.
Sometimes
I was going to go charge.
I don't know why.
I feel like after this, I'm
Well, it's because you care a
lot.
lot, right? Like that's
Yeah.
where that comes from.
Right.
And I think we all do it. And obviously this isn't going to come off in text as easy as it is in a video format, and so that's why we really wanted to cover everything in a video as well. And then this next thing is, will we continue to see cosmetics on a monthly basis, and if so, are they only going to be concept art?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Steven!
Steven's looking at his phone.
I'm so
Stop.
sorry.
This is why I told him he can't have his phone, and he still
I
brought
was
it.
looking at it.
Questions through.
I know. Will we continue to see cosmetics on a monthly basis, and if so, will they only be concept art?
Yes, so first part of the question, will we continue to see cosmetics on a monthly basis? Yes, we will continue to do so, and the reason for that is because since Kickstarter, we made this promise to the community that up until launch, we will release unique cosmetics that the opportunity for you to purchase is available. These are obviously no power items, they aren't pay-to-win mechanics.
They're just skins.
They are skins that are available,
mounts
and they take very little resource time to show you through the concept art. However, what we are going to be doing moving forward is introducing that pipeline into the character creation team so that you'll be able to see models of the actual cosmetics available, and the kind of presentation will move away from concept art and into modeling.
We heard you.
Yes.
Yes.
And now we'll just start grabbing questions from chat. So toss those into chat, and then Sarah will be feeding, aka Toast, will be feeding them our way. I already have a few, so I'm going to start reading those off, and we'll try to answer as many as we can because I know we don't have as much time here. So this is answer quickly.
All right, we'll do our best.
Gentlemen. No, not Santi. I thought it said not salty at first. Not Santi said, we know from a previous info that name reservations will happen during Alpha 1. Now we know they will be per server per account. Does this mean we need to pick a server as early as Alpha 1 and stick with it if we want to keep our reserved name? Or can we choose a server after release?
So there will be an opportunity that we will release the initial server names for launch. And upon the release of that information is when we will also implement the ability for our name reservation individuals to reserve names on specific servers. For Alpha 1, that I don't remember we ever said that it was going to be necessary for Alpha 1.
But
I don't know why it would be for Alpha 1 because those are test servers.
We may have meant like around that time, but yeah, those servers aren't going to be live yet. So
okay. I'd have to revisit that. Let me double check. It's really just going to be around when we release the initial schedule of servers for live launch. At that time, which will be months in advance, you will be able to select a server and reserve a name on that server.
Yeah, and you'll have the opportunity to talk to your guild, and kind of organize and all that.
And
So.
we'll give you advance notice on when the reservation day will be, and give you that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think normally with name reservations in the past that I've done at companies when I've launched games is we usually give like an FAQ and how that process works so people know, and obviously giving people advance notice about it. And usually it happens like months ahead, so you can grab those names. So if you don't grab it in that time frame, that's on you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to apologize for names, first of all. When I read these names, I might not read them perfectly. Because I feel like this person's name is probably OG Clarence, but maybe it's Og Clarence. I don't know. Why is the currency called Embers? I think that's a cool question.
It is a cool question. It relates to the history.
Yeah, it really comes down to kind of the core concept and idea behind who the goddess of creation is, and how embers and ashes are correlated to the rebirth and death of a phoenix,
right?
So to speak, and utilizing what is present in the energy of that soul that the phoenix represents. Yeah. Those ashes, those embers play an important role in establishing that sustenance of their soul.
Yeah, we wanted to really make sure that the whole thing is themed, right? Like our whole presentation of this game feels like it's sort of in lore, and so we tried really hard to kind of keep a lot of that stuff kind of in character, including that currency, just so you're always feeling like you're touching a phoenix at some point or another. And
something I want to do with like the branding of the webpage and things like that is bring that vision to life and bring that story to life. So we'll see how those things look as we get closer. I'm looking for a senior graphics designer. If you are looking for a job, come check out our jobs. intrepidstudios.com/careers. Anyways, our next question is from Domini10001 saying, will epics be epic? Unlike any other MMO in the market, will items actually feel rewarding and act as a goal for players to achieve?
Yes. The goal, well, okay, so it depends. We haven't really named our tiers yet. We do know that there will be legendaries, those will be one-off items, and those will be seriously epic. In terms of sort of the power scale of other types of tiers of items, obviously we want crafters to be kind of responsible for creating kind of these awesome items. And it's more about how the crafter creates those weapons and armors and equipment that will make them feel epic or not. So it's really more in the hands of the players to make that feeling known, but the capability will be there.
I think one of the other key takeaways from kind of our designs, as opposed to maybe some of the games that we've all experienced in the past, with regards to having an economy where items are present and sellable and have legitimate decay available. And not everything is soul bound.
Right.
That's in Ashes of Creation, it is an open market and items are traded, and there are very little soul bound items. And because of that, we feel more confident in being able to present these legendary type items.
Like not very many soul bound items.
Right. Exactly. So that's kind of the idea behind that as well.
Yeah. The economy of this game is going to be crazy, and I'm kind of excited for it because I know a lot of my friends who enjoy doing the crafting part of it or enjoyed like selling stuff and buying things and doing all of that stuff.
It's a whole game in and of itself, and
it's crazy. Some people just spend their entire gameplay doing that. And I'm like, that's not for me.
And that's sort of what helps. Fight things. I know I'm not a crafter myself, but I really appreciate like what crafters and that kind of mindset bring to a game because it fills out the world. It creates. Well,
you want those people in your guild, right? Because they're gonna be able to make all the things for you.
And they want to be able to make.
Feeding them stuff. You're like, yes, go.
I love crafting. You're not a crafter?
There are very few games where I've liked crafting. Crafting always feels like a chore to me.
Yeah.
I don't like sitting and playing in a UI for long periods of time. There are a few games that have changed my mind about that. Star Wars Galaxies is one of them. Arcade in Alpha was one of them.
Yes, I love that too.
I've had to hide myself in my house in Arcade because people come kill me while I'm trying to craft stuff.
Oh no, that's not good. No, I loved Arcade crafting, honestly. I'm sorry, back in Alpha. The one thing I didn't like though about Arcade crafting was that the opportunity for a RNG was really high in that crafting.
Yeah.
And I thought that took away from the ability to kind of make gathering and processing important because you didn't know whether or not those materials were going to waste based on basically having a random RNG chance of getting something you didn't want. And I didn't like the tiered dependencies as well.
That got real bad.
I thought that really played towards their monetization practices, right? And they were trying to establish their labor I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
Anyways, yeah.
Keep it short, Steven.
I say you triggered me on it a little bit. You triggered me on it a little bit.
And I'm like Kiro, like thinking about all the crafting systems. I'll go on. Our next question is I lost it. Okay. Pacha TV. I'm sorry, Pacha. Names are hard. Will we have roleplay tools for chat in game, like custom text emotes /e or /me, where you could do like /dance or
we are probably.
I grab your hand. Whatever,
I can't tell
don't
you
know.
exactly what tools we're going to be giving you guys, but we are definitely going to our system is built around the idea of role players being able to role play, right, and giving them the tools to be able to do that. So we will be giving emotes.
I do like the idea of doing the /rolls because in Vanguard
/rolls will definitely
Heroes,
make it.
We
100%.
We actually set up cups and we did like beer pong with like the /roll.
So there will be plenty of ways to do sort of in-character stuff in the game, and the chat system is a really easy way of doing that. But we want to give you some extra tools in addition to that. So.
Ooh. All right, well, we'll have more details on those in the future. We've got Macius, which is asking, probably too early to ask this question, but how important will crowd control and group mechanics be? Obviously, it is loosely covered, but I'd like more. If possible, i.e. tanking multiple mobs, stunning, interrupts, and CCs for even basic dungeon content. I love CC stuff.
CC
as long as I can get out of it when I'm CC'd.
So CC is important. What I've experienced with CC, however, in previous games is that there's often a very difficult time when it comes to balancing the diminishing returns for CCs, especially when you're trying to make sure that balance for CCs from a PvE perspective doesn't encroach on the PvP perspective, and making sure those things are equitable and make sense.
It's a fine line.
It is a fine line, absolutely. But,
I've seen it done well, and I've seen it done not well.
Right. So there will be absolutely CC, and it will be a very important aspect of the game, but it's not going to be a I win button, so to speak, that we may have seen in other games. You're not going to see stun locks. You're not going to see, controls that last forever until you're dead. You're going to see these things need to be strategic in its use. They need to be something that is timed at an appropriate moment, but not just a go-to win button.
Will they be stackable? So, if you do it and I do it,
there will be types of CCs that will have their own independent diminishing returns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But in terms of dungeon content, right? That's going to be an important part of it. I love CC classes that are sort of based around manipulating and modifying the battlefield so that the encounter is easier, right? And so that will be an important part of that experience based on your group makeup. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. And yeah, not only just your group makeup, but the classes and subclasses that your group chooses to make. Our next question is from Mr. Quantum Observer, and they want to know, in Siege mode, will there be captains, people to designate as leaders to help focus people?
So there are group leaders, and
reminds me of natural selection. Almost.
Yeah, and the group leaders will have the ability to set waypoint commands and kind of map locations. We're talking about Apocalypse? Or we're talking about
Apocalypse.
Okay, yeah. So they'll be able to set those things, and then additionally, those group leaders.
We could talk about both. You could say what it's going to be like in Apocalypse versus the MMO.
Well, in the MMO, you're going to have custom raid formations that you'll be able to utilize, and each group captain will be able to have in-game voice over IP for their party specifically, or be able to be flagged by the raid leader in order to speak to the raid, should the raid leader want that. With Apocalypse, you're going to have inter-party voice over IP, and not with the raid itself, but you're going to be able to establish kind of waypoints and whatnot as well.
Okay, cool. I hope that answers your question, Quantum. Our next question is from Seven Big Baba. Wants to know, Q, will... question, yeah. Will there be RNG when we upgrade our gears? So when you upgrade gear, will if you enchant it or augment it or something like that, will there be an RNG element to it?
There will be some RNG elements. We obviously don't want to make the enchantment system or even the crafting system itself kind of be a static, way forward. It's going to be more heavily relied upon for gathering resources and preparation of the recipe and whatnot, but we do want to include an element of chance, and in that chance kind of keeping things interesting,
right?
For the crafter and for the community.
Keeping things
but
interesting.
a lot of that RNG that you see in other games is really intended to take money from players.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And since we don't have that, we're not kind of relying on that to generate our revenue.
I think our world does.
We're not going to be built around that kind of sort of exploitive kind of mechanic.
Right,
So,
absolutely. I think that's the important part is that, a lot of other systems where you describe RNG, it is a RNG focus, right? And it's not
there, so you buy something off the marketplace to reduce
Yes.
those chances.
And it's a gold sink, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the reason. They want these resources to be wasted and pulled out of the economy because they can't find a better way to do a gold sink.
Right.
And we have a lot of different
A
ways
lot
to
of
do gold
systems.
sinks.
Our economy is like nuts.
So we're not going to have to encumber the crafting system through a heavy emphasis on RNG. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. And then we've got Shoxer22 asking, are we going to see more heavy style armor for melee classes? And I actually have seen a lot of people asking questions regarding that, or like medieval style armor. People have asked about
Absolutely.
too.
Yes, we are going to see those things.
We saw some of that in Alpha Zero.
Yes, yeah. And Alpha Zero was a representation of the after-fall civilizations, right? Whereas in Apocalypse, you see a representation of some of the armors that are before the fall,
Right.
Of the parent races. So I think that even before the fall, you're still going to see those types of heavy armors. But I think what you've been seeing so far in Apocalypse has been more of a representation of that not heavy armor. There are a wide variety of armor types that are represented because we have many cultures.
Yep.
There are 9 different cultures, and they all have different types of field, and including the types of armors themselves, from martial class to arcane classes. So there's a wide variety, including those types.
I'm going to follow up with this question because another person has a gear-related question. Cymex Z wants to know, will gear matter in PvP? So
Yes.
Okay.
Gear will matter in PvP.
Can you talk a little bit about how it will matter?
Gear is a vertical progression that gives more power to the player. The question with regards to gear is how much power, right? Where does the dependency lie on your ability to be effective in combat? Is it more heavily emphasized on skill? Is it more heavily emphasized on gear progression? Is it a kind of rock, paper, scissors format between the different types of classes? Is your foe or monster that you're fighting, geared specifically towards your class to defend against? Those are all the components that go into what makes combat a scenario of success or failure for a player. And gear is a good chunk of that, obviously. But it's not going to be the end-all, be-all when it comes to being able to succeed in combat.
Just having action-based skills, right, changes that equation quite a bit. And also, in terms of our balance, right, like our kind of philosophy on PvP balance is really based around the group, as opposed to just individual players fighting one another.
Right.
A duel is going to be a very different thing to balance around than a group. And since all of our PvP is based around big group content, that's kind of where we're going to be putting most of our
So it's more
eggs
about the coordination and working together.
Right, skill
and,
basically,
timing things properly, things like that. Our next question is from Silent Ranger 19 asking, how do the guild halls work? Is that a separate freehold you can build and customize, or another system completely?
So the guild hall will be a guild specific. Well, there'll be 2 types of guild halls. There'll be static guild halls that exist within a node, and then there will be a guild hall that can exist on a freehold. And I believe one of the ideas, and we aren't definitive yet on this. We have a couple of ideas for it, but one of the ideas is that a guild at a certain level will have the ability to receive a guild-specific freehold plot that's separate of the character plot necessarily. The guild will have to progress to that stage, and the guild leader will own the ability to place that freehold, and then you'll be able to build infrastructure that's specifically for the guild that the guild can attain through purchasing by using guild progression points, specific schematics that can build certain halls that benefit the players or can produce, potentially guild armors or guild items that can be used in battles and whatnot, and the guild can level that up. If they don't have the freehold and they have a node static guild hall, then those systems would be available through purchasing and or progressing that guild hall specifically.
Are there specific places that you can only place the guild halls that you attain?
So any freeholds can only ever be placed under the purview of a zone of influence for a node that is stage 3 or higher. Okay. With regards to guild halls, the guild hall plot. It may be that we decide to raise that limit up to maybe a stage 4 or 5 node, but that's something we're going to test in alpha.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, just explaining that and seeing how the world gets bigger and the areas get bigger, it's really exciting. I know you guys have been working out a lot of the map, and I've been sneaking and looking at stuff. It's been fun. It's been fun. I know. Earl Count 2017 wants to know how to protect a city while the player is off, or players are offline. So we do have a system in place for that. I think they're talking about like sieging a node.
Yeah. So when a node is, there's a period. We've discussed this before, but there's a period of declaration. There's a declaration period that exists between when the mechanic is used to declare the siege and when the siege actually begins. And that will be a period of days based on the size of the node, the stage that it has advanced to. Typically, it'll be 1 day per level. I think we're going to aim for.
But you'll get plenty of time to be notified and be prepared to be online during that time.
And additionally, the time window in which a siege may be declared exists based on the server time zone. We may confine a North American time zone to between 3 and 8 p.m. where declarations can be made, and that's when the siege time would exist.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question because we got to wrap it up. We are actually 10 minutes over, and we've got a lot of other stuff going on in the office as well. So I'm going to grab this one last one, and it is going to be from Genos X23. And they want to know, long ago you talked about the APOC lobby will be like a house. You can invite your friends to and customize. Are you still going to do that, or have you guys changed your mind?
That's a good question. That is something that we will have to reassess. It is part of our discussion for the roadmap moving forward internally, because that does take additional time outside of what was necessarily scoped for progress towards the MMORPG. That was some UI work that is separate, and some tech work that is separate, and might actually impact some timelines moving forward for the MMO.
And it's also not core to the game
Exactly.
either. It's really just a cosmetic kind of thing. So that's one of those low-hanging fruits where if we want to maintain forward progress, that might get cut.
Yeah. So we'll let you know, though, moving forward. There is one other question I did see with regards that an individual in chat was asking Didane DK.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, one more question. Didane DK says, will the old referral system with the link still work?
We talked about this.
Oh, we did?
No, I mean in the letter.
I see. Got it. Yes. So the old referral system's links will be forwarded to the new referral system's code. And yes, they will still work. In addition, you will receive a referral code that you can use and input into a field at registration for new accounts. So that's something that we're working on rolling out. Additionally, currently, referrals are only shown in your new account system if the user has migrated. However, we will be synchronizing all old referral data into the new database at some time in the future, so they won't need to migrate if a sale was done on a referral basis.
And I believe that's on our FAQ too. So we've been pretty good about. Sarah. I'm going to give Sarah credit. Sarah's been really great about keeping the FAQ up to date. So we've been doing our best to. Especially with those major questions, always check our website and type in the question in the questions section because it might be answered already. That's going to wrap it up for our live stream today, unless you guys have any final last words you want to say.
I just want to let you guys know we appreciate you guys tuning in, and 100%, our motivation here in this studio is based on making you guys happy and content and proud of the quality of a game that we bring you. That is paramount to us. That is our sole objective. We do watch Discord. We do watch forums and Reddit, and we do read all of the feedback that we get, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, and we take that into account, and Margaret and Sarah are doing a great job in kind of focusing that in.
There's already been a bunch of videos, and I know there's some streams that are planned.
Yeah, so Margaret and Sarah have done a great job in kind of focusing that into reports that I can read very easily, which is great because I don't have to go necessarily everywhere to find it. And then the other thing I would say, with regards to the project and moving forward, things are going very, very well, actually. The benefit of Apocalypse and what it provided us to kind of see some core things that needed to change, it was great to have that change known earlier than later, because as systems progress further, there become more interdependencies between systems and mechanics that rely on some of these core and foundational architectures that, if we find earlier, takes much less time to fix and change. That is really important to note.
Yeah, it front loads all that work, right?
Yes.
And that's all the scary, dangerous work that we're working on right now, right? Account services, back-end management, all of that stuff is so fundamental to the game actually functioning. Getting that question out of the way now allows us to move forward with confidence in all the other things that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just want you to know we love you guys. We appreciate your feedback. We really honestly love the support and the communication that you give us. And moving forward, you're going to see a lot of new content, especially this month. There's going to be a lot of things coming out, I think.
Lots of Node stuff, so stay tuned for Nodes. I know you guys have had a lot of questions, and you can always pop questions over to Sarah or I, and we'll try our best to make sure that some of those are incorporated in some of the things that we're going to be going over. But I think we're going to be going into depth about stuff that you guys haven't ever heard about before. So
I hope so.
it's going to be exciting. They have heard Steven does talk, but this will be like in depth and on paper. So
there's a request from the chat that we play the video again on the way out.
One more time.
We can play it at the end. Yeah, totally. We'll have the video up on our YouTube channel right after this. I'll post it on social as well, so you guys and gals can all check it out. Reminder that our next stream will be on March 29th, so come check it out. It will, maybe be focused around Nodes. We'll see. And you can follow us on all of our social channels. If you're here on Twitch, we really do appreciate it if you give us a follow, so you know whenever our stream goes live next. And of course, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We've been posting a lot of photos on Instagram with little lore tidbits if you're interested in those. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.